This is the very first live 10-Pin Life podcast. I have a wonderful guest that is waiting in the StreamYard waiting room here. But let's not go too crazy with an introduction. Let's get right into it. All right, new intro and everything. And honestly, what is there a better way to start off the first live podcast? 10-Pin Life is, this is podcast number 12. And joining me today is Matt Farber. I'm going to get him jumped in here. Matt is the Director of Business Development at KR Strikeforce. He is also a fist pumping champ, as we can all see. And I actually was able to meet Matt through Dakota Vostry, who also works at KR Strikeforce. So Dakota was actually...
Don't give Dakota any credit for anything.
I'm going to give him this much credit. Actually, I'm going to give myself all the credit, because if it weren't for me, and if actually weren't for the lane guy at AMF West, we would have never even connected, because Dakota left one of his bags in Milwaukee, and I was like the last guy there because my car battery died. And it was like, God. Hey dude, I see that this sticker has your name on it. Would you like your bowling balls? And then he ended up adding me on Facebook, and it was he invited me to be on your guys's live stream during the Players Championship. And that was the first time that you and I ever met. So and now I think it's been a pretty cool couple of weeks, just getting to interface with you and understand a little bit about what you do at KR, but also your past and everything, and kind of what you're looking forward to as well. So first off, thanks for being on the podcast, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, dude. It's been cool to see what you've done so far in such a short amount of time. And, we've had plenty of offline chats here, but really excited to see what your page here and what your YouTube channel grows into, and we're just kind of excited to, in whatever capacity we can be along for the ride. So shout out to you, man.
I appreciate it. So we're going to start off in kind of a weird spot, because that's always where I start these podcasts.
Okay, perfect.
Let
me get a little closer to the computer here.
During the live stream of during the Players Championship, Matt, you brought up this thing that you referred to as the wax pencil game. I have no idea what the wax pencil game is, so I need you to inform me and inform the masses of what that actually is.
Well, the wax. I got my headphones. I'm a mess. I got my headphones on my microphone. I'm all over the place here, folks. Let me switch this to the other ear so we don't have any more problems with that. But the wax pencil joke started a long time ago. By a long time ago, I mean probably like, I don't know, 7 years ago. I went to go bowl the Ozarks tournament, and it was me, Greg Young, Bryan O'Keefe, Shannon O'Keefe, and Jason Milligan. A lot of really good friends of mine, obviously.
And that's not a terrible five to have.
No, it was an incredible five to be bowling with. And so we went there, and right around that time, it was when people were trying to get on staff for anything and everything that they could possibly get on staff for.
Sure.
So people were getting on staff, with a tape company, and people were getting on staff with, I don't even know, a plastic packaging company, right? And, like a rapper, like anything people were trying to get on staff with. And so we were like, we made the joke like, like we could probably, ask people if they want to be on wax pencil staff. And that's where the joke started. And so we created, me, Bryan, Shannon, Jason, and Greg, we created this fake staff, this fake company called YW Peeps. And it stood for Yellow Wax Peeps, like yellow wax pencil peeps. And we made t-shirts and everything. We got a logo designed, and Chris Vi became our first staff player. And so he signed a contract with us about yellow wax pencils, and we had a Facebook post about it and everything. It got like 300, 400, 500 likes, whatever, Chris Vi gets, because he's a superstar.
Oh yeah.
And then Greg signed as an actual staff player as well. And so it got even more exposure. And then we posted and we said, hey, if anybody is interested, we created an email account. We said, if anybody is interested, you guys can apply to be a part of this yellow wax pencil staff, YW Peeps. Okay. And so we started this email account. Within 30 minutes, the email account was taken down because it thought that we were a spam email account because we got so many applications just in those 30 minutes. So we were receiving all these emails. I see them. And then all of a sudden everything disappears. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I look into it and it turns out that the account was taken down and literally it all went into thin air because we were getting so many people that didn't even know what YW Peeps. It's not like we ever announced YW Peeps is the best. We never announced it and people just wanted to be on staff.
Yeah.
So, we did end up signing one other person to the staff. His name is Kevin Donovan. And he made possibly the funniest resume because that was the joke, right? When you apply, we weren't going to take anybody with a real bowling resume that was only showing bowling accomplishments. We were going to take people that were like, saying, all-time snow shoveler in eastern Pennsylvania, right? Or whatever it was. And so Kevin made the most creative resume I've ever seen. And he wrote things like, he's like, went to Chipotle every single day for 360 days straight. He's like missed a 10 pin by 3.5 feet to the left one time. He had all this creative stuff. And so we're like, Kevin, you deserve to be on staff. You're on staff. And then, over the years, it kept on being like a fun little thing that we did. But, fast forwarding to here at KR, you would never guess, right, out of all the products, and you can see some of them behind me, out of all the products that we have, you would never guess how high demand of a product the wax pencils are and how much people really, especially pro shop guys, obviously value the wax pencils. So it all just kind of comes full circle. I started having a fake wax pencil brand, and now I actually work at a place where we actually do sell wax pencils. And it's just been a really cool story for me.
That is absolutely hers. And that's such a good transition because I think what it does is it kind of highlights a lot of different avenues on, number one, how did you get to that point of being able to bowl with those 4 people at the Ozarks and kind of how the life of bowling brought you to that point. And then also how you've kind of had that full circle since then. And I kind of want to hit on both sides because, for those that don't know who you are, I mean, you have a pretty impressive resume. I mean, to going back all the way, you're All-American in high school. I believe it was when you were a senior in high school, and it didn't slow down since then. How do you encapsulate those kind of 5 years from high school and into McKendree?
Yeah, it was a really interesting time. When I was in high school bowling, I wasn't really recruited by anybody. Honestly, for college bowling, honestly, the only person that ever reached out to me about bowling in college was Chris Prather. And Chris Prather was texting me a couple times a week. And because I met him at Team Masters one year, I bowled well and he bowled next to me and we kind of became buddies. And he's like, dude, you should come for a visit. You can bowl. You're a good player. You should come. And I was like, I don't really want to go, kind of want to stay closer to home.
And that was at Wichita, right?
Yeah, he was trying to recruit me to go to Wichita. And so that was the only person that had contacted me out of anybody. And looking back on it, like, telling Chris Prather, hey, no, I don't want to come bowl with you, seems like it's an insane decision, right?
Right.
And so I ended up just going to college. I just wanted to go to school just for school, to focus on school. It was never my plan to bowl full-time on the tour. So I knew that I was going to have an education. And so I went to a great school on Long Island, Stony Brook University. And then it just so happened that the summer after I graduated high school, I made Junior Team USA for the first time. And it started becoming clear to me, like, I guess I could do this at like a really high level. And through the Team USA program, that's how I met Bryan and Shannon O'Keefe. That's how I met Jason Milligan, who works at USBC. That's how I met Greg, who's still one of my best friends to this day. I just went over and had dinner at his apartment last week. So it was a very quick transition to all of a sudden just thinking, hey, bowling's just going to be something that I do kind of for fun. And bowling's going to be something that's going to play a tremendous role in my life. And so then throughout college, Stony Brook, we had a club team. I played with the team for, 3 semesters or so, and then it didn't work out. I wanted to move in a different direction. So then for the next 2 years, I just bowled on my own and focused on Junior Team USA and trying to make that transition into Team USA. And then after, my time was up at Stony Brook, Brian O'Keefe approached me and he was like, hey man, Shannon and I could use some help at McKendree. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, sure. What do you have in mind? It's like, you can come here, get your master's, be a grad assistant. You'll coach the teams. It'll be a great experience for you. You can actually live with Shannon and I, which was an incredible offer, right? As a young kid with not a lot of money. And, they're like, look, come live with us, save yourself some expenses, and just really kind of them. And so not only did I become best friends with them, but I lived with them for like 2.5 years, and so I'm really grateful to them for all the help that they gave to me. So that was kind of the transition, and it just kind of took shape. And then the second, the O'Keefes are really special people, and they're not afraid to do things that are outside of the box because it's what's helped them be so successful, right? I mean, they're a husband and wife. They work together, which for most people would be a disastrous, component to a relationship. They work together on the coaching side. Then they work together on the ball rep player side, which they've done for a lot of time on the PWBA tour. They obviously are husband and wife, so they have that component. So they wear a lot of different hats in their relationship. And so they do a lot of things differently. And, when I was at McKendree, my second year, because I only bowled for 3 semesters at Stony Brook, I still had 2 years of eligibility left. Yep. So I would always joke around with Bryan and Shannon. And the first year that I was there, the guys, when I was helping coach the guys team and the girls team, the guys finished second at the national championship. And the girls team became the first NCAA Division II school to ever win, to become the first non-Division I school to ever win the NCAA championships. And then they also won the USBC championships. So they won both in 1 year, the second team to ever do that. And so the second year, I'm like, Bryan, Shannon, it wouldn't be so funny if I just bowled my second year here. But I was like, I don't think it would ever work, because the biggest part of it was, getting a scholarship to get my master's, being a graduate assistant. And so after after enough joking, I guess, 2 weeks later, they talked to the team sports psychologist, they talked to admissions, they talked to the athletic director. And then one day they just walked downstairs and I'm just like relaxing in the living room. They threw a jersey at me and they said, all right, you're in. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you'll coach the girls team and then you'll bowl with the guys team. So it was a crazy year. We ended up winning the national championship my 1 year bowling at McKendree, which was a really good experience. And it all worked out, and it was a great experience. But I think that's just the kind of thing that happens when you do what you love and you're surrounded by great people. And it was, looking back on it, it was a really wild 2 years.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm curious because like that decision to go to a school that's more local, even though, nowadays, if anybody, who's bowling at, or just Brandon Biano would probably be a good example of a guy that just graduated from Wichita. Like if some kid in high school was like, no, I'm not going to go do that, it would be I think it would be a little bit more weird today. But tell me a little bit about that decision, because I think, and we're going to get into talking a little bit more about youth bowling and sort of where it is, because I think you and I agree pretty substantially that it's actually in a really good place and we need to capitalize on it. But what was that decision like for you? Like, did you expect because when you made the education first decision, but did you expect life to keep you in bowling the way that it has?
No, I grew up on Long Island, and it was always kind of my dream to be in a really fast-paced, intense, high-pressure type of position in New York City and work in whether it was finance, whether it was large corporations that are headquartered in New York City. That was always kind of my dream. And my passion, business has always been a passion of mine. And then it just so happened, right, that I developed this passion for bowling, throughout my late teens and early 20s. And so I never would have expected the two of them to combine, because the one thing that I think is a common misconception just in general is that there's not a whole lot of opportunity in bowling. And I think that the world of bowling is in a really special place, and there's so much opportunity. And I think that the closer that you get to it, maybe on the actual bowling side, it doesn't seem like it sometimes, even though there is tons of opportunity out there. I think that just in the industry as a whole, there's so much opportunity, especially for the younger generations right now. And if I knew from a younger age that this was the way that it was, if the industry was in the place that it is, I would certainly probably have done things differently. And not spend so much time outside of it. But, I think that it was a really, really great experience. And I think that, being able to be welcomed back kind of in a professional sense has been, one of the things that I valued the most and I appreciate the most. And, I think that the only way that you can learn these types of things is by being involved in it and by being around it. And, I learn every single day here at KR that there's more and more and more opportunity than I ever thought. And every day I come across a new potential opportunity. And, it just amazes me. So, to all the young people out there that are in high school or college and you're interested and you're like, hey, I like bowling. And whether it is you like bowling and you also like science, or you like bowling and you also like media, or you like bowling and, you like research and development, right? Whatever it is, you like operations, you like manufacturing, right? There's so many different components, that you can really, if you like bowling and you find another passion that you have, you really can combine it and you can find yourself an opportunity somewhere in the industry.
No, I completely agree. It's a very, a very vertically integrated industry. There's so many things that bowling does inside of bowling, where it's besides like shipping, like bowling people like do everything within bowling, from the point of we buy the chemicals to the point of we need to ship it from the distributor to the pro shop. It's like they do everything else in between, and there's very few industries that actually do that. So that's I know there's a lot of steps between where we were and where we're going, but I think it's a good transition because I know a little bit about what your role is at KR, but I know it's also relatively new to kind of everybody,
including me, by the way,
including yourself, right? So you're now if I read it correctly, you're the business development manager at KR Strikeforce. KR is in Chicago. KR has been around for a really long time. But it seems like you guys are kind of adjusting your strategy. So tell me a little bit about kind of what your role is, kind of what KR is for those that maybe might not be aware, and kind of where you see the company and your role kind of going.
Yeah, so you're 100% correct. A business development manager, director of business development. It's all, it's all just a title, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're not people that are very big on titles here, but it's easier to explain what you do sometimes.
You got to put something on the business card.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It can't just be like, morale leader, like
right.
guy that gets everybody to smile a little bit and laugh a little bit. Although that's probably some of the most value that I bring is just, the ability
comic
to
relief.
Laugh. And that's not saying that I'm all that funny. It's just saying that, I'm pretty average in everything else. But so it's really my responsibility here, kind of in KR is, when I actually interviewed with KR 4 or 5 years ago, and it just wasn't the right time in my life, but the universe works in kind of mysterious ways. And so was able to get back in touch with the guys and the team here at KR. And it just worked out to where, it was a good time, good fit. COVID was happening, still is obviously, but it was happening a lot more intensely at the time. And I was just reaching out just to reconnect, see what was going on. Had no expectations of it leading to a job offer, but it ended up happening. And moved to Chicago, and it really has been my responsibility kind of to just try to find new areas where we can be successful, improve existing areas that we have that could use improvement, that I have some skills and some knowledge of, and then also try to be creative and think of new ways to grow our brand and to tell people about the amazing bags and the amazing shoes and accessories and all that stuff that we already make. And so that's really what my day-to-day job entails. And I'm really grateful for it because, the team here, all the people here at KR are beyond amazing. And it really takes a great team to be able to get stuff done. And the reason why we've been around for so long and we've been so successful is because of the people that we have on board. And so, I get to really spend my day with my head in the clouds and be creative and be fun and think of cool new ideas. And we've got a lot of things in the works, which we're really, really excited for. And then on top of that, we also execute stuff, right? We go, that's the most important thing. And one of the things that I try to, I aim to hang my hat on over the course of my career in the industry is being able to execute things consistently and completely. And so it's been a blast, and I've learned so much, not only just about our company, but the industry as a whole. And, it's going to be an exciting time. We've, for 30 plus years, been the licensee of some of the biggest brands in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And now is the time where we're solely focusing just on the KR brand. And I say that as we've got Motive shoes up here. We've got some Motive spare balls, right? So we do still have some partnerships, but doing things in a different way, and putting the primary focus on our brands as opposed to putting the primary focus on other people's brands, and you know, and really making that our main priority, and having our brand kind of just be the afterthought. That's not how it's going to be anymore. And so we're really looking forward to it. And, you know, we're grateful from all the supporters that we've had in the industry, from all the different partners that we have. And we're really excited about everything.
Yeah, dude. We got Chris chiming in. He's on YouTube. He says it's 3 balls from you guys. He's giving props to the dual, or the wider wheels. I think you and I were talking about it when we were doing the live stream, that my wife got the dualies, and that, man, those bags are awesome. And I'm not here to just hype you guys up, but you got to give credit where it's due. So I guess I'm curious, because, you know, that's one of the things. Let's you know, you say that we live in the clouds a little bit. I'm right there with you. I'm always somewhere off in the ether, but the concept of 10-pin life is bowl, and we just kind of hit on it, is living a career, or living a life, having a career, even just having such a deep passion for within the context of bowling, is so much more than I'm going to compete at the highest level against the greatest bowlers in the world. And I mean, to be fair, you know, you at least at one point, and I don't know if you still do, but at least, you know, if you probably had a game that, had you gone down that path, and really, really ground yourself, you know, into it, you probably could be, you know, competitive. I don't know if you'd be a national title holder or anything like that. That's
I would be. Don't get it twisted.
All right.
I would be.
All right. I'll give it to you. Shit. Why not? I got nothing to lose. No, it's but, you know, you were, you know, when you make Team USA 5 times over the course of 8 years or 5 years, so whatever it is, that is not an easy feat to do. You know, that puts you up in the upper echelon. And even still, with that, you know, you made the choice to live a life in bowling in a much different way. So I think it's pretty cool to just, like, for people to essentially just know about that. But the other side of that, and this kind of brings us back in time a little bit, is you're a certified mental performance coach as well, which that's a whole other ball game, right? And you know, because we definitely have the gears that make the industry go, and those are really, really important. You know, if you don't, I think that as much as the competition can sometimes get a little bit aggressive between bowling ball companies, one thing about it is the fact that they're pushing so hard in technology. It does make, I think it keeps people interested in the sport. It is something that is an accelerator, and you have to have people making quality products that are, you know, reliable, and they deliver on time and all that stuff. The gears have to turn, but also the people that are actually in the sport. This was actually my big highlight on why I think USBC should release the patterns for nationals, is like, it's also about accessibility and making it available for people to succeed in the sport. And mental performance is almost the entirety of bowling.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
What was the process of going and like, how did you go from I'm somewhere to now I'm a certified mental performance coach? What was that kind of like, and what have you done with it?
Yeah, you know, the mental performance coach was kind of an idea. You know, in 2018, I was fortunate enough to make Team USA. And after I made Team USA, I took a step back and I said, okay, hold on a second. You know, that was when I had interviewed here at KR. I had also interviewed with another big bowling company in the industry. And I said, you know what, like, you know, I could find a job anytime, you know, with my education and with, you know, with people that I know, whether it's in bowling or out of bowling, I'm sure I could find something somewhere. Right. And once I realized that, I said, you know what, I don't know if I'll always be able to try to give it a full blown go here with, you know, with bowling and taking it seriously. And so once I had, you know, made that decision at Team USA, I put all my kind of eggs into the bowling basket, into the competing basket. And, you know, I started bowling a lot more. And what I had learned was, throughout my time at McKendree throughout my time bowling and leading up to making Team USA, the one thing that really helped me, and the one thing I always struggled with as a kid and as a teenager and as in my young 20s was the fact that, it was my mental performance. My confidence was always low. I was always anxious, stressed. I always struggled with that. And so I really dove into that, and I started learning, I thought, there's gotta be ways, there's gotta be techniques out there that you can use to help boost your confidence. There's gotta be ways that you can, improve your self-image. There's gotta be ways that you can relax and reduce the stress and anxiety. I'm like, there's gotta be ways, there's people that are in way more stressful positions than just bowling in a local tournament. There's gotta be ways. And so I researched it, found a lot of great books, and learned a lot of great techniques. And that's what helped me make the jump. And when you apply that stuff and it helps you in your life, right, there's no easier way to buy into it than to see the changes that it makes in your personal life. And so that's why I got into it. And so when I started bowling more at a high level, competing for Team USA, traveling overseas, and you learn how important that stuff is. And I wanted to try to help the younger generation, some younger kids, and say, hey, I went through a lot of stuff in my bowling career. I made a lot of mistakes. I quit for about a year when I first got to McKendree because I was so fed up and fried out. And I was like, and then I go back to making Team USA. I'm like, man, I wish I never would have taken that year off. I probably could have accomplished a lot. So I don't want other people to go through that. So that's why I started doing it. I've gotten the opportunity to work with a lot of different college programs. I've worked with SCAD. I've worked with Indiana Tech. I've worked with Mount Mercy. I've worked with a lot. I've worked with a lot of athletes one-on-one. I also worked with, a lot of youth athletes, collegiate athletes. And so, it was a good stage in my life where it was really what I wanted to do and what I really wanted to focus on doing. And then throughout COVID, I realized, I was starting to shift a little bit in my mind. I was like, I kind of feel like I would like to be more in a mentor type role and not so much maybe in the sports psychologist type role. And I was kind of at a crossroads. Do I want to go back to school, get my master's, be really properly trained to be able to help people, and get a second master's in some sort of clinical psychology, sports psychology, mental health counseling, something like that? Or do I want to revisit my passion for business and go back that route? And so, I ended up making the decision, what? I would much rather be more of a mentor to people and give advice when it's asked upon me on the side, and not necessarily do it to try to make a career and make money out of it because it just didn't feel right to me. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And, I still work with a handful of athletes on kind of a regular basis, Landon Jordan being one of them, PBA junior national champion. And I say that not to try to take credit or be, get some clout from it, but it's really just a testament of, to me, the coolest part about it has been getting to work with really high level athletes and just people and learning from them. It may sound crazy. Landon's 15 years old. I've learned an unbelievable amount from working with Landon, just about life in general. And so getting to do that and connect with people, that's one of my favorite things to do, is connect with other people that are ambitious and that want to accomplish a lot. And so it's done a lot of really cool things for me. And the best thing about mental performance is that it applies to life as a whole. And so whether you're bowling or you're just going through something in everyday life, the techniques that you learn can help you everywhere. So that's been, the biggest win from that entire experience for me.
I'm curious. So I'm gonna give a little bit of an aside, and then I'm gonna see if I can transition this into the question that's in my head. So my day job is I actually work at a veterinary clinic, and I work in marketing there. But one of the big things is, we're trying there to shake the mold of how that entire industry is run. It's the idea of where I work is to be the force of change and to completely use the foundation that exists, but it's time to basically evolve and level up. And one of the big things that we actually discovered was that there are 4 variables that keep people away from being star players, and it's confidence, competence, clarity, and consistency. So when we have conflict, or when we have somebody that just doesn't kind of meet expectations, the question is, what of the 4 C's was missing? It's not that, because we never say that you had poor intentions, because anybody that works in the veterinary fields doesn't have poor intentions. And I think that pretty much applies to any professional athlete too. It's like, I didn't fail because I wanted to fail. I just was missing something. And what we've actually found is, as we get these as the workforce has turned over into, as they get younger and younger compared to me getting older and older, is that competence or ability or knowledge is never the issue.
Right.
They're incredibly intelligent. It is all confidence. Now, in your experience, is that something that you would say you've seen similarly? Or would you say it's more of like, we just don't know? Like, if I want to excel, do I not know how to excel? Or is it I know how, but I don't believe that I can?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it differs a little bit for everybody, but confidence is always the number one topic of conversation. And it's interesting when you're at a younger level, that confidence level generally tends to be a little bit lower because
Mhm.
you haven't necessarily have had the success to be able to identify with that, not
Yeah.
have it identify you completely, but be able to say, you know what, I'm successful. I've had success in the past and I can keep being successful. And so that's a tough thing for a lot of young players. Um, and the competence thing, certainly, especially in our sport with so many variables,
Mhm.
I think that does play a role. Not to say that people, youth bowlers are stupid, because they're not.
Mhm.
They're smarter than they've ever been, right?
Yeah.
15-year-old bowler right now knows more than a 15-year-old bowler ever in the
Yeah.
history of bowling, which is
For
great.
sure.
And so it's just about learning a lot. And then, something that you realize is that there are a lot of athletes that go from being a big fish in a little pond to being a little fish in a big pond.
Mhm.
And that's when the confidence takes a hit. And so often you see players that were great. You see kind of two scenarios usually. You see players that were amazing that go out and graduate from being a youth bowler to being a professional bowler or a collegiate bowler, and they immediately have success and they're like, this is easy, right? And they don't keep working at it and they kind of
Mm.
take it for granted, and then they fall off the face of the earth.
Mhm.
And then they're like, okay, I'm done, right? Like they've never experienced any adversity in their life. And they're just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm over it. This is stupid. I hate this. I'm out, right?
Mhm.
Because I've never experienced any adversity, right? Because they've always been amazing.
Yep.
And then there's also a lot of people that are amazing, and then they come out right away and they get their butt kicked, right? And they're like, hold on a second. This has never happened to me ever in my life before. And they struggle to get that confidence back because they're in a place where they've never been, right? Or at least they haven't been in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Because they've been
You're right.
successful for a while. So confidence is definitely the number one thing. And very rarely are you able to win at that high level without being confident in your
Yeah.
abilities. And so it makes all the difference. And
Mhm.
so I totally would agree that confidence is probably, one of, if not the most important thing when it comes to mental performance.
You kind of brought it up there in the middle of that, but just the where kind of junior bowling is at, or youth bowling, or just basically anybody that isn't an adult, because junior bowling goes up to what the point of being like 24 or something like that. If you really push it, whatever. Everybody
Yeah,
has their
it's
own
somewhere around
limits.
there, right?
And I think you brought up a great point that whatever age they're at, if you want to be, you can be the smartest bowler ever in the history of time at your age today. It's the information is there, and I think that, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't know a lot about, the gross totals or anything, but it seems from an outsider's perspective that in the right scenario, youth bowling is growing substantially. Like, junior gold is the biggest it has ever been. I hope it continues to grow and be successful. At least locally, it seems like youth programs that are trying are succeeding. The ones that aren't trying are failing. That's like any business ever in the whole world. But what I'm curious about is, that to me, obviously that's the future of the sport. The future of the sport is in the hands of 12-year-olds right now. Do you kind of see that the same way? And since I know you kind of made the joke that you don't really bowl anymore, and I don't know if you actually don't bowl anymore. But you did highlight that you got fried out and you took that year off. I think a lot of people do that. But to me, the biggest gap between bowling being a growing sport is that transition from being a youth or a junior bowler and then getting into adult bowling, because it seems like there's a ton of interest in the younger generation, but it seems like there's a fall off rate somewhere. Now you have a better perspective on this than I do because you lived it. So am I crazy? And if I'm not, how do you think bowling can improve that fall off rate?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think that getting more kids to stick with it for longer obviously will help tremendously, right? With adult membership numbers, right? Or with people that stick with it in both local tournaments or high level tournaments, whatever it may be. I think one of the most important things that in our sport, I believe, is really far behind is coaching. And I think that in order for it to be successful and for kids to have the desire and the passion to continue doing something, it's growth, right? Nobody continues to do something for extended periods of time if they don't get better, right? Even if it's just a tiny bit better. If you don't see yourself growing at all, you're not really going to have a whole lot of fun because people just don't like being stagnant in life, right? People don't like being stagnant in relationships. People don't like being stagnant at their jobs. Hobby is no different. Nobody's going to continue to go play frisbee golf or real golf for that matter if over the course of time they don't get even a little bit better, right? They don't improve, they don't learn. And so I feel like right now one of the things that needs to continue improving in bowling to help improve the drop off of bowlers when they graduate youth bowling or high school bowling and then they go to college and they never bowl again, or whether it's they leave bowling to go play another sport or whatever it may be. I think one thing that will really help that is continuing to improve the coaching that's out there and not just relying on what's available and what's local, right? And sure, there are some training centers and really high level coaches that are available. But I think just improving the knowledge level of all the coaches out there. And I think one of the hardest parts is that we've seen such a shift in the course of the sport, especially in terms of equipment and technology and playing style, right? I mean, two-handed bowling obviously wasn't around really 20, 30 years ago, right?
Even 10 years ago,
right,
really.
Exactly, right. Exactly, right? But now you go to junior gold and 3/4 of the field is two-handed, right? And so that's not a part of the game that most people are accustomed to coaching. And so you see a lot of people giving advice for two-handed bowlers that would be the same for one-handed bowlers. And very small portion of the time is that necessarily true, right? Where, you know, the one-handed mechanics apply to the two-handed mechanics. It's a totally different game. And so you really have to be well-versed in coaching it. And it's not just as easy as going to any person around and being able to say, hey, give me bowling advice, right? Because it's not necessarily going to work. And so I think one of the things that needs to happen is needs to be more education for bowlers, but also for coaches on how the sport has changed over the course of the last decade. Like you said, right? It's really been the last 10 years, how the sport has changed, how playing styles have changed, how lane patterns have changed, how equipment has changed, and helping people get smarter and better. And I think that's, you know, a big component of it. And then the other part of it is that, you know, big portion of coaching is really just the physical component of it, but taking it a step further and doing the lane play equipment education aspect of it would help so many kids tremendously get better, because you can throw it the best in the world, but if you're throwing it the best in the world using the wrong ball in the wrong part of the lane, it doesn't matter, right? It makes no difference. So you might as well throw it everywhere. You'd have a better chance, right? But you know, so I think that there's this evolution. Like you said, 10 years ago, two-handed bowling really wasn't around. Sport bowling on difficult sport patterns was truly just beginning, right? And now you can go online and you can find 1,000 different sport patterns to bowl on. And yet, if you talk to everybody, everybody's like, I don't know how to read a lane graph properly. I don't understand what my bowling balls are built to do. You know, but the thing is too, and I know I'm rambling here, is that people are so hungry to learn more. People want the information. They want to understand because they want to get better. And so if we can have more people that have a better knowledge base of these types of things to be able to pass it on, then I think that the sport will be way better off. And I think that we'd keep way more people involved with the sport. And it would be a win for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And actually, this is a really good transition. Simon, who actually created 10-Pin Toolkit, I don't know if you have that app, but he sponsored a few of the podcast episodes previously. Hi, Simon, if you're still out there. he's taken it upon himself to be one of those resources, right? And he's kind of upgrading that app, and it's just, it's a toolkit. It's not meant to completely change the way that you throw the ball, but it's just an extra piece. And that's a good transition for my next question, because I'm curious about whose responsibility is it to improve that portion of the game, because you did. I mean, you were, if I remember right, you and Mike Flanagan originated Backstage Bowling with Shannon and Bryan, and was it Shady?
Yeah, Shady and Jasnau.
Yeah, I mean, that's an absolute powerhouse group.
Yeah, it is.
Of even just to have Jazz and Shady, but and Brian O'Keefe is probably one of the smartest dudes in the game too, who doesn't get a lot of credit for it because he's not quite as vocal about it, I guess, publicly. But it seemed like you guys decided, hey, we're gonna do something, and it seems like they're continuing to do that. So I'm curious, kind of what that process was like, because you were a part of the team at InsideBowling, and then Backstage Bowling came out of that. And I know you're not in that anymore, but it really is stemmed off of the idea of who do you think is responsible to actually improve the coaching side of the game?
Yeah, I think it just at the most basic level of it, I think it just comes down to people's desire to just help other people, right? Whether you're an equipment manufacturer and you're trying to make the best bowling product because you genuinely want to help other people improve their bowling experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that lies at the heart of everything, right? It's got to be everybody's goal to truly, genuinely try to help people, not do it for notoriety, not necessarily do it for profit. Even though those are two things, right, that, people enjoy, right? And there's nothing wrong with either of those things. But at the heart of it, it's really got to be trying to help other people improve their bowling experience, to me, in my opinion, of course. And so I think that what is, in terms of whose responsibility it is, I think it's everybody's responsibility, right? It's the bowler's responsibility to want to learn, and to want to grow. And that may include some setback, right? Some adversity. And so it's the bowler's job to go out there and to look for the information. Then when they're looking for it, it's the industry as a whole's responsibility to have the knowledge out there, and the information out there, so those who want to learn can learn about it. And that includes the equipment manufacturers passing down knowledge and information, which, I think overall, all companies combined do a pretty good job of trying to help people understand more. It's also the coaches' jobs for being more readily available, right? And for also passing on that knowledge and that information. It's on the bigger organizations that are not equipment manufacturers and that aren't necessarily directly coaching organizations, but it's really everybody. Everybody has a role that they can play, and it's everybody's responsibility to do their part. And so, whether it's us publishing videos about our new shoes and how the shoes can improve your performance, because they can, right? And understanding how high performance shoes work, or whether it's, detailing our bags and how our bags can make your bowling experience a better experience, or it's a billion other things, right? How to physically throw the ball better, or whatever it is, right? It's kind of on everybody. And I think that people you just got to be willing to try to grow and try to improve. And that's sometimes the challenge with coaching, is that some people think that they know everything and they don't think that there's anything new to learn. But the best coaches, like the people we've been mentioning, those are the people that are always evolving their knowledge, and they're always growing and challenging preconceived notions of how things work. And that's why they're the best of the best. And so it really comes down to everybody.
I love that answer, because, again, kind of going back to my day job, is we word it as simply as possible. Information is not a asset for you to sell. It's a responsibility for you to give it away, because we work a ton within like educative communities, because we're trying to recruit students, right? So then you have faculty that's been around forever, and it's kind of a similar thing where they're just turning the same wheel that they have for the last 25 years. It's like, hey guys, we need to catch up, because if we don't catch up, we are already 10 years behind. and we have a lot of work to do. And if we don't do it, everything's going to fall apart. So definitely similar. It's funny how there's so many parallels between those two things. But yeah, information, education, it absolutely is on everybody. And being able to, if you how do we put it the right way? It's if I'm a day 2 bowler, I can teach somebody who's a day 1 bowler something.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's something that I know that person doesn't, that if I tell them, they're going to have a little bit of a better experience. And it continues in being of a growth mindset. And I'm sure that you've read books and stuff on growth mindset versus we call it failure mindset, but just being able to say, all right, here's an opportunity for us to get better. Whether it's I'm going to present you information and I'm going to say, I'm not going to do it in a prickish way is the easiest way for me to put it, or I'm going to receive information and I'm going to be like, hey, it's not that he thinks I'm stupid. It's because he thinks he's trying to help. And I think that that's one of the most interesting things about kind of the culture of the sports overall is I don't think that there's necessarily a huge gap in that, but I also think that the culture of the sport in and of itself has not been defined as one that is really growth focused. It's recreation focused. And to me, I think that's kind of unfortunate because what's happened is there's no actual defined culture within competitive bowling. Like we don't know what to expect week to week on the pro tour. And to me, it doesn't necessarily seem like those guys know what to do. College bowling is a little bit more intense. You've lived that. I don't know what it's like overseas, but you do. Cause you're a gold medalist, man. Like you, like you did it. So I'm curious. I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense. So if I need to reword this question, let me know. But I'm curious what you think the culture of bowling should be defined around. Like, what are the key variables to a successful culture within bowling?
Yeah, I think one of the and one of the things that bowling could really benefit from is more of a collaboration mindset, not necessarily screw you, and it's only about me.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of counterintuitive when you think of it in a business sense, right? Why would you ever want to collaborate more with other people? But people in terms of business, there's a lot of opportunities for people to collaborate and for everybody to be successful. And I think that, you can Google it and go online, right? It'll tell you bowling's a $6 billion industry. Well, I think everybody would rather bowling be a $50 billion industry. And even if it means having a little bit smaller piece of the pie, having a little bit smaller piece of a much larger pie seems a lot more attractive to me than having a significantly larger piece of a much smaller pie. And so I think that it's changing, and I think it's changing in all sports kind of, like they always talk about in basketball, how like the old school guys, like they were never friends with their opponents. They were never buddy. They always hated each other. And now you go on and they're doing a jersey swap at the end of every NBA game. It's like, yo, you're my buddy. You're my friend. I know we compete against each other and we play hard, but at the end of the day, we're all growing together. And I think that that's something that bowling probably could use more of. And, trust me, the irony is not lost on me. The fact that I say, KR, we're only doing our own thing. We're prioritizing ourselves, right? But, we still have great strategic partnerships with companies like Motive, with the PBA, and we're looking to grow more. And we're really looking to try to, emphasize that collaboration, because collaboration is key. And if we can all work together, and it's not necessarily say everybody should promote everybody else's products, but it's to say, right, if we all get together and we share our knowledge and we and we help each other improve in certain ways, then I think that we could really continue to grow the sport and change whatever the culture people think the culture is now. I think that we can help improve it and really focus on continuing to growing it. And I think it's changing, right? With media and with college bowling, with youth bowling, with the PBA tour, most people are buddy now, right? Most people are friends. And whether you work at one equipment manufacturer or another, people are friendly. And, even though not everybody's best friends, people are still friendly, right? And I
Yeah.
think people are really understanding that, you know, you got to continue to work together and collaborate, and the better off that I think again, personally, me, the more that we do that, the better off that we'll all be.
Yeah, I can't agree with you anymore. And Andrew Pfeffer, Bowling with the Pfeff, I don't know if you know what his channel is. If you guys are listening, go subscribe to his channel. He does a great job. But he completely agrees too. Collaboration is key. And so here's kind of the way that I think about it is I ever since I learned this concept, and you and I kind of talked about it when we were talking on the phone a couple weeks ago, is this concept of a brand tribe. Is like our consumer behavior is so brand focused now. Like I will fully admit I am a brand junkie for Apple stuff. Like I know that I'm in it. I'm knees deep in it, and it is what it is. And I have a really hard time even operating on Windows platforms, PC stuff, and all that. But but that's just an illustration of that brand focus. Or like the way that good brands have created these communities is through creating what we call brand tribes. So if you're in marketing, it's just like you want to have a customer that's going to buy everything that you produce. They're not going to question it. They're not going to go look outside the brand. Like if you are an Apple person, you buy Apple products and you're going to want to buy all of them. So there will be days where I'll have my MacBook on my desk and my iPad next to it, and my iPhone, and I got my watch on. It's like you're a part of this close-knit community. And what happened, or what is happening, I should say, is those tribes exist within bowling ball companies. Like if you're a Storm guy, you're a Storm guy. If you're a Brunswick guy, you're a Brunswick guy, so on and so forth. And what I think we're saying is, I don't care. I don't care if you're a Brunswick guy. I don't care if you're a Storm guy. I don't care if you're a Motive guy. Just acknowledge the fact that bowling, the community of bowling has shrunk to the point that we need to get rid of that title, and we need to accept the fact that we are all a part of the bowling community. We're all a part of the brand tribe of bowling. Yes, we all throw different stuff. Yes, we all, play different parts of the lane, and we throw the ball different lanes or different ways. There's guys who are still dumping on two-handed bowling, which makes zero sense to me. It's like, no, anybody that's putting shoes on, whether it's their date night and they're just going out and they want to bowl a couple games and have some beers, have some pizza, whatever, to the guy that bowls 6 league nights a week and bowls every tournament every weekend that he can. Shout out to Jerry Mars. He posted the most hilarious meme earlier today, so check that out. But it's all about, if somebody is willing to put the shoes on and throw the rock, welcome them in. I don't care about anything else. I think that's fair. Am I crazy?
No, I think you're spot on, and I don't think it's a terrible thing for people to necessarily be loyal to a specific brand, but I think just
but don't be mean to the people that aren't loyal to that brand.
Right, exactly, and and I get it, like throwing shade at other brands, and maybe talking down about other things, it's not uncommon in bowling and outside of bowling, right? You see cell phone provider commercials all the time throw shade at competitors, right? And it's not uncommon, but if you look at the really successful companies in the world that grow, right? Like take Apple, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Does Apple ever make a commercial ever about how bad a Windows product is? No, they're always just doing their own thing. Does Nike ever make a commercial talking about an Adidas shoe? No, right? Like they're never comparing themselves because they know that they're the best, right? And they know that if they focus on them, they're going to be fine. And so I think it's not only stop worrying about everybody else, stop throwing shade at everybody else, stay in your lane, but also at the same time, working together to find new ways of doing things, to find new ways to grow, and to continue to better just the industry and the sport as a whole.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that we're on the same page on that, because I just want, if anyone that's listening to this or watching this hears this and was just like, you know what, maybe maybe like today is just the day that we open our arms a little bit wider. I'm all here for it. So I promised that I would try to keep this to an hour, and we are just about at an hour. So I know. I don't have league until 7, and it's only 5:30, so I could go further. But I'm curious. with kind of your personal direction, you know, I know you've got everything going on with KR, but like, are you bowling? Like, what's Matt got going on? Are you not bowling like at all?
No, I haven't really. I bowled the Open Championships in 2019,
Sure.
and I bowled with another great group. It was Brian O'Keefe, Cortez Shank, Mike Calderon, and Kyle Barnes, and it was just an amazing time. We finished in 8th place. We really gave it a nice run, and we had a great time. But I busted up my thumb, and then I said I would give it time to heal, and it took honestly 4 or 5 months for it to heal. So I didn't bowl for like 4 or 5 months, and then it was January. I maybe practiced 3 games, and then COVID hit, and so I didn't bowl hardly at all. And then I moved from New York to Chicago, and you know, I made the decision to kind of. I had, I think, 50 or 60 undrilled balls, and I donated them all to the local youth tour. And I threw the rest of my existing stuff out in the garbage. And I said, you know what, I'm just going out there, no bowling balls, no nothing. And I haven't seriously touched. I did have a little spurt in September of last year where I started bowling two-handed. Actually, I said, you know what, I'm going to start up again. I'm going to bowl two-handed competitively. And I practiced for about 2 weeks, started getting into it. And then I got COVID. And then I was sidelined for 2 weeks. And after I was sidelined for 2 weeks, I went on a flight and I traveled to a couple places for work, and I never really got back into it after that. So, so I haven't been bowling. I haven't really had much of an interest to get back into it right now. I think a bunch of us at KR are going to join the league together maybe next year or in a couple of years and just have some fun with it. But I've really continued to develop more and more of a passion for what we do here. And not to say that bowling would take away any time from that, because, you know, we have a lot of people that bowl here. You know, we have Benji Martinez, we have Dakota Vostri, we have a lot of people that like to still compete. And if there's ever opportunity to go compete, we're always saying, go compete, right? Go do your thing. And so I think that, you know, my focus right now is, you know, finding the things that helped me be a successful bowler and help apply those to more of my business life and my professional life, and be able to, you know, help the company grow, help be a part of the team here that contributes and provides a lot of value. And maybe once I get to a place where, you know, I feel like I've got a really good grasp on what I should be doing, and really how I can continue to make a huge impact, then maybe that might be a time where I start to bowl a little bit more. But really, I mean, can't emphasize enough how passionate I am about the business side of bowling and the industry as a whole. And so I think that's where I'm going to spend a lot of my time for probably about the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm probably going to bug you at some point once like March, April comes around to be like, all right, how is our 10 going to go actually compete in Vegas? Because our partner team actually left last year in team all events lead. So we're like, now that one of our 2 teams got their picture taken, now it's like, okay, because I actually bowl with 2 ladies on our team, and we should have beat them in team. So now it's like, all right, now we can actually think about this, because you guys in 2019 didn't you leave in the lead?
No, we were close. I think going to like the last 2 frames, if we all would have put together like some really solid 10th, 9th, and 10th, we would have maybe it was 8th, 9th, 10th. It was close. If we put it together, we had a chance at the lead with like 2 or 3 frames left, and we fell just short. I think we left maybe in like 5th place or so.
Okay.
We did get a picture taken. It was on my cell phone though. It wasn't by USB-C. So, but I did take a picture of us, and it was a blast. But making a run at an eagle is a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. I get it, like, if you ever were to, I'm not gonna say if, but when you get back into it, is that like the big one? I mean, you've won gold medals, you've been on Team USA, you've won national championship at McKendree. Like, is that the other big one?
Yeah, I think Open Championships, that would be a really cool experience. It's hard, but I think team play to me, team bowling is so much fun. So winning the national championship at McKendree was a blast, and it was a great time. And I think that was, you know, an experience that I'll hold close to my heart forever. But But, you know, bowling in a team anywhere is an amazing experience. And so I would love to give it a run and get with a good group of guys and have a fun day. And you got to think, you know, if you get with a great group of guys or a great group of people just in general, and you bowl it enough times, you're going to come close eventually. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you may take you a bit, but you're going to find a year where you all match up pretty well, and you just got to execute shots and make your spares, and you'll have a chance. And so I would love to do that. And also I think, you know, I'd love to, as an amateur, because I don't think I'll ever get my pro card just because, you know, I'm not bowling full time. But I would love to make a run at a major one day when I'm bowling a lot. The Masters, US Open, whatever it is, you know, I've bowled those events before, and I think they're the biggest events in the competitive bowling space. So I think that making a run at an event like that would probably be the top. But Open Championships, I mean, it's an event where 60,000 people show up, you know, and knowing that you came out on top, you know, that's really incredible. So that would be pretty awesome. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, even just to think about what Chris Vi did this last year, I mean, to put together the 90 frames that he did, it's just unbelievable. It seems like, which oddly enough, the fact that he didn't make the cut at the US Open surprised the absolute hell out of me. But
especially since he's been Major Chris,
right,
and he's been bowling big time at all the majors for the past couple of years. But you know, he's still big time. He's
yeah.
I think
there's no questioning
today.
that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Chris is my dog, and I love that dude to death.
Dude.
And so, yeah, I mean, look, bowling's got so much opportunity, whether you're a player or whether you're just in the industry or whether you're someone that just likes watching or hanging out or being a part of it all. I mean, there's space for everybody.
Sure.
And that's something that I think is really cool.
All right, man. Last one, because I don't think I'm going to actually be able to be a part of the KR Strikecast during the TOC because I'm going to be in Ohio at the show. So
whatever, dude.
Well, I'm not going to be.
Give us a live camera view from the show.
I'm gonna bug you about it. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to get one camera here and my phone over here, and we're gonna try and give her a go. But
all right,
who's your pick? TOC.
I mean, man, that's a hard one.
That's like the hardest one to answer.
I mean, it's like people from like the 70s that are still bowling that I've never met or heard of. And that's not shade at them. That's just this show goes to show I don't know everybody. Right. You know, I would really love to see one of the guys that I grew up bowling with, on teams with, or, you know, just became really good friends with. I would love to see one of my really good buddies go out there and win. I would love to see, you know, ones that come to mind. You know, I would love to see Chris Vi go and win the TOC. Mm-hmm. I would love to see Darren Tang go out there and win the TOC. I would love to see Simo go out and win the TOC. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a pretty good buddy of mine. I'd love to watch Bill go out there and win the TOC. That's another one of my friends. I love Bill out there. So I honestly would love to see anybody win. You know, I think winning is such a cool experience, especially an event like that. And so, you know, even if they're not a good friend of mine, I mean, it's still really cool to watch and to see them experience that journey. Oh, another one I would love to win. I'd love Jake Peters to come out on top. I don't know. Does he have a title? I
believe he's got at least a regional title, but I think he won. Didn't he win during a summer swing when he was?
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain, but if he's in the field, I'm pulling for that dude.
Yeah, you
so
gotta.
That's a quick little list of. Again, I'm probably forgetting people that have regional titles that are in there. That, you know, so if you see this and I didn't say you, don't hold it against me, but. I'll just go down the list. Belmo,
right.
You know, I'm just gonna start saying everybody I can think of that I know is one. Kyle Troop, everybody, you know, go ahead, go win. I'd love to see
the one that I want to win because I want him to do what Prather did, or what O'Grady did. I want to see AJ. I want to see AJ win it. I want to see him go from the PTQ. I already
forgot about AJ. He was sitting next to me for 3 hours doing a live stream. I would love to see AJ win. I would love to see Andrew Anderson win. You know, like I would love to see all these guys win.
Yeah.
And hopefully over the course of their careers, each one of those guys that I just named can win a TOC title or win some sort of win a major if they haven't already. So best of luck to everybody. We're excited. We got a lot of stuff cooking at KR, a lot of really cool stuff that involves the PBA tour. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we're excited, man. And I'm excited for 10 Pin Life. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to 10 Pin Life, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
I love how you're plugging my channel for me.
Hit that notifications, because I know on YouTube it's a big thing, like 60-70% of people that watch videos aren't subscribed to what they're watching. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed and you made it an hour into listening to me ramble, do yourself a favor and hit the subscribe button so you can listen to me ramble more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. If there's anything that you and I are both good at, Matt, it is just rambling somewhat of nonsense, but there's always those gems mixed in there. One thing I learned about myself a few years ago is that I think the best out loud. I can't process very well upstairs if it's quiet. So I just decided to buy some microphones and some camera stuff and just start making podcasts in a different world. And then it's like, man, this really worked. I should do this in bowling.
Yeah. And I at the office, I found this golf club somewhere in the office not too long ago. It's like our VP of operations, his golf club from high school, and it was just laying around the office, and it's become my thinking club now. And so everybody understands that I talk to myself a lot out loud, and I'm always swinging the club around or just holding it or doing something with it because that's how I think best as well. So we're in the same boat there.
I love it. The thinking club. I might have to try that. I might have to bring one.
I lost it for the last couple of days. I forgot I brought it to our little media room upstairs. And so I was kind of freaking out the last couple of days trying to figure out where it was, but I found it today. So I was really happy. Yesterday wasn't a good day. Today was a very productive day because I had my thinking club.
Got it. You recentered. You found it again.
I've got my
You got Asen. He just says, keep up the great work at KR. Honestly, that's kind of a great place to kind of wrap this whole thing up, man. I think what you guys are doing down there is awesome. I've spent, since we talked on the phone a couple of weeks ago, that's been one of the things that I've thought about a lot, is just kind of the way that KR is positioned in such a competitive market, and just what you guys are trying to do and encouraging as much to do domestically as possible, and still stay competitive within a price range that's reasonable, and still making premium products. So give my love to the guys that are down there, and thank you for wanting to encourage that and make it a bigger thing, because just personally, the more that we can encourage doing things here within the United States, I think is really cool. So thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We really do take a lot of pride in what we do here. And for anybody that doesn't really know what we do, go check us out. Instagram, Facebook, KR Strikeforce. We've also got our custom bowling ball brand, so we can make cool custom bowling balls like this on theballbowling.com. You guys can check us out. We're just going to keep trying to push the bowling industry along as much as we can with what we do. And like you said, keep collaborating, keep growing, and helping others. And that's really what's important.
Heck yeah, man. So any final thoughts or keys or pieces of advice you want to give to the world, or are we going to get on with our day here?
I'm thinking here, it's February 15th. I think probably, how many subs do you have right now on YouTube?
It crossed over 3,500 over the weekend.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that by this time next year, you'll be north of 70K.
All right. February 15th. That's some big shoes, man.
70K. That's assuming the fact that it's assuming the fact that you continue to go ham with it. If you continue to go hard and keep doing the great stuff you're doing, 70K on YouTube in a year, and then do you feel like I'm putting too much pressure on you with 70K? Would you rather me say 50K?
No, dude. If I'm not overextending myself, I'm not trying. Just right, I went to the gym this morning, and I just complained to my gym partner all day about how I went way too hard yesterday, and she's like, "You should slow down." I'm like, "No, that's how this works.
Can't do it.
Can't do it."
Yeah, 70K in a year. I'm calling it. So right. when we February 15th might be National 10 Pin Life KR Strikeforce live stream day forever.
Love it,
because if I am correct, then in a year we'll have to have a celebration live stream to where we reflect on how right I was and how smart I am.
All right. I think it's there. I think it's there. And actually, Eric, who I actually just Eric just bowled the event that we ran on Sunday and did a great job. Apparently he's on our side as well. So I appreciate it, man.
Don't suck up too much, too much there, Eric. He's not going to give you any discounted entry fees. All right. You're still making pay full price.
It was a $40 tournament. We don't need to be discounting $40 tournaments.
You need to be raising that entry fee, man.
I just need bigger sponsors.
I don't know anybody.
All right, Matt. Thank you so much for hanging out, bud, and telling your story. I really appreciate it. I know we're going to be doing this more in the future too. Thank you for everything that you're doing over at KR. If you guys are not subscribed over there, at least following them on Facebook, because you guys are doing the strike casts. I believe you're planning on doing those for like every show that's a national show, correct?
Yeah. And along with that, we're going to have new shows that are going to be starting up. And so check us out. Awesome. We'll be going live with cool guys like Ben and talking bowling and trying to spread the love.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, make sure you guys go check it out. Facebook, Instagram. I believe you guys are on Twitter, but KR Strikeforce brand's the same across all of them. So be sure to check it out. Matt, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Having me. It's too late. Thanks for having me. I'm signing off. See you later, everybody. I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for checking out 10 Pin Life podcast number 12 with Matt Farber. It was a lot of fun doing it crazy, doing it live. But you know what? That's enough. But don't forget, everybody, your best life is a 10 Pin life. See ya.